What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We're here again on the tabletop for another 1911 video. I'm glad you're here. So today we're going to be talking about the Cimarron 1911. Now, I have opened it up, but I haven't really done any inspection on it at all. I just got back from the FFL. So we're going to be just dissecting this live. I'm going to give you my initial impressions. We're going to, do like we always do some new springs and all that good stuff. And then the next video after this will be taking it to the range. So before we get into it, though, a lot of people have been asking me to get a Rock Island 1911 and compare it to T-Sauce. And so with this pistol, I'm going to kind of kill three birds with one stone. So the Cimarron 1911 is made by Arms Corps in the Philippines, who happens to also make the 1911s for Rock Island. So this is going to take the place of a Rock Island. I know it doesn't say Rock Island on it, but from all of the research I can find, they're pretty much the same thing. You just have different pieces and parts in how the gun feels. But the meat of the pistol is the same. So we will eventually do a video, and we're going to talk about that. So that'll be one video. And then we're also going to turn this one into a project gun and really go for like a cool World War I, sort of like pre-war 1911 build with this one. So that's the plan here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and crack it open. So there it is. And yes, it shipped like this with the mags just slapping around in there. All right, so it comes with two magazines, which are gritty and disgusting. These are so gross. I will not use these magazines. I'll just tell you right now. These look very cheap. The steel is flimsy. And yeah, not a fan of the followers. Just right away, the purist in me does not like those. So we're going to set those aside. So there's the gun itself. So right away, this is a very old school parkerizing kind of job. The parkerizing is rough. The gun was used, by the way. I didn't want to pay full price, so I got a used one. First glance, it looks pretty good. It's got the pre-war frame, which is really cool. It does have a strangely profiled lowered ejection port, which I'm not a huge fan of. We may or may not weld that up and just make that a proper ejection port. I'm not sure yet. The rear sight has some God knows what in it. I'm not really sure what that's about. Okay, so yeah, parkerizing is pretty good. All right, so the roll marks are definitely done by a laser. Looks pretty good. It's okay. As good as lasers can go. Yeah, it's not bad. These grips are terrible. They look very cheap. They feel very cheap. Yeah. Let's keep going. So the action. Ooh, the thing is dry. We'll remedy that here in a minute. Barrel lockup is not good. Barrel unlocks a little bit. Bushing, barrel bushing fit is good. It's tight. The safety is rough. So the safety is very hard. Like, God, it feels stuck. In fact, it is stuck. God, turning the safety off is egregiously difficult, and then turning it on is way too easy. So I do have a new safety for that. We're going to remedy that. Grip safety works. Yeah, so that's good. The hammer's funky. It's weird. I'll be honest, guys. This is why I don't like Rock Island, because everything about the pistols that I've had in the past of Rock Island and that I've got my hands on, everything about them is just a little off. Yeah, everything just looks kind of funky, man. It just looks strange. Very quickly, I'm realizing I'm probably not going to blue this pistol for a couple reasons. One, So this is an investment cast frame. It is not a forged frame. So that means the blue, and I can already see, you guys probably can't see it on the video, maybe you can. The slide and the frame are going to look radically different. They're not going to blue the same at all. So that's going to be a mistake if I try to blue this. So it's going to stay Parkerized, but that's okay. We'll still go for the World War I build. We'll still try to make it look right. All right, let's go ahead and take it apart. So look, I know, here's the deal. This is kind of a reality in the world. Everybody wants their opinion in your mouth. They want to hear you say, my thing is the best. My idea is the best. Everybody wants you to just conform to their thinking. And guys, I just don't do that. I'm not going to say the thing that anybody wants me to say so it makes them feel better. And as much as I want this to be every bit as good as a tea sauce, I'm just going to be objective and tell you how I feel. And if that's upsetting to you, listen, I understand, but I gotta roll with my convictions there. Interesting. Slide looks like a slide. Nothing crazy there. Yeah. Looks okay. The barrel. So this link is okay, but it feels like it's made out of some very light, cheap metal. I don't know about that. All right, so I'm going to start by taking the grips off, and I am going to go ahead and start replacing parts. Yeah, these grips are... I'm probably going to throw these right in the trash, I'm not going to lie. I really don't like the way those look. And I know the guys out there that save everything. I don't, man. Look, if it's an old spring, it goes in the trash. If it's like a consumable, if it's a screw that's like starting to strip out, it goes in the trash. I don't hoard useless parts, and I know that's very unpopular. So I will say the most interesting part of this gun for me is the frame being sort of a pre-war style frame. It's got the flat mainspring housing that's smooth with the lanyard loop, and the lanyard loop looks weird. It's very, I don't know, man. Like I said, it's hard to put words to, but it just looks off. We'll keep that. Now, I didn't talk about like the trigger and everything. The trigger actually feels pretty good. Now, unfortunately, it is going to change because I'm going to be putting in a new hammer, and so automatically right there, the dynamic of the trigger is going to change. But I will say the stock trigger pull wasn't bad. And again, just here's another weird thing. Just the dimensions, the shape, everything about this trigger is just off. The serrations, it just looks like a cheap cartoon version of the real thing. All right, so I got my parts box here. I have another spare 17-pound spring, and so the 17-pounder, obviously it's longer like they always are, but when I just bend this one to the side and then I go to bend the 17-pounder, it resists. It's a lot stiffer, so right away this spring goes in the trash. And before anybody asks, no, I am not shipping you my used springs. All right, so we're going to do a new leaf spring, Wilson Combat Sear. There it is. That's what I was looking for. So we're going to try out the, this is the Harrison medium solid trigger. Let's see if it fits. It does. No adjustment needed. So it's a little loosey-goosey in there. But let's just compare it to the other trigger, to the stock trigger. Yeah, they're the same. So that has to do with the channels in the pistol. So yeah, we're just going to drop this guy right in, function test it, see if it works. So far, everything looks okay. All right, so with all of the changes that I'm making to the gun, I'm putting in a new trigger. I'm going to be doing a new sear, a new hammer, whole bunch of new stuff, you do start to get to a situation where you can start to do what's called stacking tolerances. And it can be a risk, that's for sure. But really it just comes down to, put the gun together, function test it, see how it goes. And, really the trick is you've got to know how to diagnose what's going on if it's not right. All right, drop of oil on the sear. All right, so I got this really cool pre-war reproduction hammer, and it's a Colt hammer. So the real question is going to be, will this work with the sear, the Wilson Combat sear, and just the overall dimensions of the gun? But, you can do a bunch of measuring, but at the end of the day, you just got to stick it in there and see what happens. All right, let's have a look at this mainspring. I got to tell you guys, I know I'm a nerd. I know. But it's hard to describe how disappointing an improper mainspring is. So, just to give you an idea, this one here is a properly spec'd mainspring at 23 pounds. The coils are the right thickness, it's made of the right materials, the right length. You compare it to the other one, and the coils are much thinner. I don't know. It's just frustrating for me. All right, so here's the frustrating part, what I'm running into right now. A proper mainspring doesn't even fit in the mainspring housing because, again, the dimensions are off. They've picked their own dimensions. It's not to the original John Moses Browning spec. And so I can't use a proper mainspring in this gun. I do have an old T-Sauce mainspring. We'll give that a shot. That one does fit. It's just annoying, man. This is what I mean. Like, there's a reason that I like T-Sauce so much. And it's just, their stuff's just right, man. Hate on them all you want. I really don't care. But I'm telling you, I know these guns. And a lot of these other brands, they just don't get it. All right, push that guy down. Push the pin in. All right. Mainspring housing is ready to go. All right, so I happen to have a spare T-Sauce gray thumb safety, but as you can see, it is a much different gray than the Cimarron. Now, this thumb safety is usually a fitted part, but we're going to try. I'll be doggone. Did it actually just work on the first try? Holy crap, it did. All right, we're going to do more testing, but I'm pretty sure that safety just dropped right in and didn't need any fitting. What luck. What luck. That's impressive. Not that, like, wow, Rock Island's so high quality, but just, like, that's literally just lucky. Hammer strut is installed. I'm going to throw that back in. It would be so cool if this gun literally just went together on the first try with, like, no tuning. What are the odds? Throw it in the comments. How likely do you guys think that is? I'm going to say, like, 12%. Okay, so the frame's back together. So far, we're getting really lucky. Everything is working out pretty well. The thumb safety installed really nicely. Hammers in there, sear, new trigger, all that good stuff. Now, there's one thing that's happening. So this weird tang on the grip safety is not agreeing with things. So now you do have a very long spur on the hammer, but essentially what's happening is when I go to pull the hammer back, I get half cock, but I don't quite get full cock. It doesn't engage all the way because it's touching on that tang that's a little bit long. Now, if I pull it all the way back and depress the grip safety, I get positive engagement, but now the grip safety is pushing up and it's actually touching the hammer. Now this kind of works out okay because I am going to saw off this tang and try to make it look like a pre-war grip safety. We may have to deal with that grip safety sooner rather than later. And are we going to have another part out of spec here? Come on. So the grip bushings are slightly out of spec, but I was able to smash this grip down over the bushing. It's just so frustrating, man, to have stuff just not be right. So I'm sort of forcing the grip to conform to whatever's going on with those bushings. And that's okay. I've got a pile of these double diamond grips. If they break, they break. I'm not going to cry about it, but it's just a little bit annoying. The gun's back together. So now we have to do our safety checks here. And the reason is we have a new safety. Now we got lucky. It's working quite well, but we need to make sure it's working properly. We got a new trigger. We got a new sear. We got a new hammer. We got to make sure all that's safe and functioning properly. So, now, we already discovered that the hammer is touching the grip safety. And so, as I said, I am basically going to hog off about right there and make this into a nice pre-war grip safety. However, as of right now, that grip safety, unless you're gripping the gun, prevents the hammer from going all the way back. Okay? So that's one issue. But otherwise, let's check the safety out. So grip safety in. I'm pressing the trigger very hard. Okay, so the safety is working. I'm going to press the trigger now with the safety off. I'm going to test the grip safety. Grip safety is working. Grip safety in. Okay, so I got a little bit of take up. Push, push, push. Little creep. Nice solid break. So the trigger is got just a bit of creep in it. Reset is hard and thumpy. It really resets super positive. It's a very GI trigger. There's nothing amazing, nothing bad. It's much better than the stock trigger. So as of right now, this feels really good. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, now this is what I mean. The hammer cannot go all the way back if you do this trick that I do, which is where you pinch from the bottom of the grip safety to the top of the hammer. I actually have to grip the pistol and pull the hammer back. Then it will engage the sear. So what I want to do now is the hammer is back, sear's engaged, grip safety off, thumb safety off, and I just want to try to push the hammer forward really hard. Okay. Good. That's what we want. If I can push that hammer forward, not safe. The mating surfaces between the sear and the hammer hooks are not correct. This is good. Otherwise, the safeties are working. I got a nice positive reset. I got a nice clean break. This gun actually feels really good now. With all the springs in there and everything, that's crispy. Good positive lock back. Okay, that's working good. All right. It fed through a bunch of actual FMJ by hand. All right, everybody, here we are. The Cimarron's been set up, and I've also done some modifications, which I'll roll some footage of as I speak here. But basically, I'm going to walk through what I did and then my initial impressions. And then the next video after this will be part 2 of range time with this guy. So what we did today is we replaced the hammer with a Colt reproduction pre-war hammer. So it's very accurate to a pre-war hammer. I also put in a Wilson Combat Factory Plus sear, and those made it up absolutely beautifully. The trigger pull right now is right at 6.8 pounds, so it's a little on the heavy side. However, it's very smooth, and it on a feel level, it feels the same as my T-Sauce guns that are about 5.5 pounds. So I'm going to leave it alone. Also considering that this is a new hammer and sear, so it's going to wear in. I don't want to really mess with that. So that's good to go. I also put in a T-Sauce, thumb safety. It's a lot closer to what would have been on these guns back in that time. And this one, I got really lucky. It just dropped in. And that's really the story so far here. Everything dropped in. I had to do 0 fitting. So, and this is luck. Don't go off of this and say, oh, I can do that too. It was genuinely luck, guys. So the thumb safety feels good. Positive click up, positive click down. I had to do nothing. I just got lucky. So happy days there. Also put in a Harrison medium solid smooth trigger. I wanted to go with a long, but there wasn't any in stock, and I just happened to have one of these, so I went ahead and went with this. Maybe in the future I'll do a long trigger to make it a little more correct. We also did some new grip panels, and these are just stained darker, and I aged them a little bit so that they kind of fit the overall vibe, and also did the screw O-rings so that the screws are taken care of there. Also replaced the recoil spring with a 17-pound Wilson, just because the 17 is what I had, and I wanted to get that used up. And then I replaced the mainspring with a 23-pound mainspring. Other modifications, you can see off camera, I blued the barrel hood. So the rest of the barrel looks like Parkerizing. But for whatever reason, they left the hood unfinished. And so I went ahead and blued that. Now, we'll talk about overall finish of the gun a little bit later, but that is going to stay that way. And then the last thing I did off camera, which, was really going to make the build, which was getting this grip safety to the pre-war spec. Now, it's not perfect. It does pass the eye test pretty well, but it's not perfect. I actually had to leave a little bit of meat on top here because I want to maintain that function of being able to pull the hammer and actuate the grip safety. And if I keep lowering that, the hammer's not going to be able to interact with that grip safety properly. So to be able to do that. So it's a little bit higher up here. The back is a little different, but overall it looks pretty good. It's got the pre-war vibe, and it is absolutely going to eat my lunch when I start shooting this thing. Hammer bite's going to be brutal. So those are the modifications I did. I'm going after that pre-war build, and really it's 90% of the way there. The big problem I have left is this ejection port. I want to weld this part in, make a small plate and weld it in and finish over that. The only reason I'm hesitating is because I don't know this gun. It's not a standard John Moses Browning spec gun. And my concern is I'm going to mess with the reliability, and I'm going to start getting a bunch of failures if I cover this ejection port up. I don't really know these Rock Island or Arms Corps guns all that well to do that. So I'm still thinking about that. Not sure what I'll do there. But finally, I wanted to conclude with finish on what's going to be done to the gun as well. So originally, I thought I was going to blue this gun, but I can't blue this thing. There's so many parts variations. I mean, the frame is investment cast. The slide is forged. All the parts, like you got MIM parts here. This is a forged part. This is not. The blue is going to just look all over the place. So what I've decided on is I'm going to go with matte black Alumahide. And that's already been ordered. That'll be done here shortly. And what's great about doing an overcoat finish is you get rid of all the metallurgical issues, right? All that stuff where it's like differences in color and all this just goes away. I'm going to sand the gun down a little bit just to get a texture for the Alumahide to grab onto. And then we'll do a few coats of Alumahide, get it blacked out, and, call it good. Now, I do want to just give my initial impressions. So in taking the gun apart, and again, this is not a T-Sauce versus Rock Island video yet, but I have to say, this gun is kind of what I remember about Rock Islands. And again, I have to reiterate it for those of you who don't know, Rock Island is made by the same people that make guns for Cimarron. It's Arms Corps in the Philippines. They're the same gun. Okay, I know people are going to say they're not, but they're the same gun. I'm telling you, they're the same gun. It's kind of what I remember. Now, it's better than I remember. They are a little bit better, but I'm just being honest. The dimensions are strange. There's some areas that are sloppy. There's a lot of parts that seem very haphazardly manufactured. I just don't get the warm fuzzies about this thing, guys. I'm just being honest with you. And they're not John Moses Browning spec. So, like, the mainspring housing is a good example. You cannot use an aftermarket mainspring housing. You're stuck with what you've got here because the dimensions, the rails, the thickness, the angle, everything, it's changed. They changed it. So you're stuck. Now, thank God they did drill the holes in the right place for the hammer and the sear pin, because the hammer and sear did work. Thank God for that. However, and the trigger did work, but I will say it's a lot more loose tolerances, because in my Colt, my T-Sauce, my Springfields, these Harrisons fit tight. In the Rock Island, it's loose. So it's a much wider tolerance in the on the trigger rails. So anyway, look, I don't hate it. It's not terrible. I'm just being honest with you when I say it's not great. I want to give credit where credit's due. One thing I do want to say is that when I put in new springs, the barrel lockup is absolutely concrete. It is very hard. And I will also say that the bushing fit in the slide and the bushing fit to the barrel is excellent. It is extremely stiff, so much so, I haven't pulled one of these out in probably 10 years. I didn't even have to do this for the Kimber. I had to pull out a freaking bushing wrench because the bushing was so tight. So, and that's a good thing. You actually want that. That's not bad at all. So credit where credit's due. The barrel lockup is great. We'll see how it performs. But overall, it's a cool gun. It's not terrible, but compared to what else is out there on the market, I don't know, guys. I don't think it's amazing, as some people might say. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Definitely stay tuned for part 2. And I also just want to reiterate to everybody, we do have a Patreon going. We've got an awesome community going there of like 30 people. We've got a group chat where we're talking all day. I mean, all day. People are sending pictures, just talking about gun stuff that they got going on in their life. It's a lot of fun. And I also upload technical videos there that I can't do on YouTube. I am also on X. You can follow me over there. The link is in my bio, and I'm pretty active on X as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm glad you're here. We'll see you on the next one.